All right, we're now joined by Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 15 5-Hour Energy Toyota. Clint is our defending winner. You have 4 top fives here, and 7 starts. So Sonoma's been good to you. Talk about this weekend.
It has been good to me. It's a fun racetrack. It's a short track of road course racing, and it just kind of seems to fit my driving style. It's a fun weekend for everybody in the garage area. It's something. It's almost like vacation. It really is for everybody. The wives, the girlfriends, they all go on wine tours. We get done with practice today and got our hands full with a complete mess on our hands. But nonetheless, everybody's having a lot of fun.
And then heading into tomorrow, talk about the new qualifying rules and what do you think about that?
I think it's a good idea. Just for the fans. It all goes back to the fans. I think, they want to see us on the racetrack, and when we go behind those billboards down the drag strip and pull on halfway down the back strip, back straight and make a run at it, they don't see us very much. So, I think it's good for the fans. It's good for us. I think it's so much easier to get in a rhythm. Road course racing is all about rhythm, timing. Very, very difficult to do that, pulling on the back straightaway and hitting your marks like that. So I think it'll probably take away, that good driver or good team that accidentally, messed his lap up that we had before. But I think all your fast cars will probably be up front because of it.
All right, we'll open up for a question. Just state your name and your affiliation. We'll go to Wireless Line 2. We'll start with Lee.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. First time you came here as a guy just, out of Kansas, did you anticipate that one day you'd be sitting in victory lane like you were last year?
No, not in a million years. But after, the first couple stabs at it, I was relatively pretty good out here. I struggled a lot in Watkins Glen, but always was able to find pretty good speed and get settled in and get comfortable out here. So, last year, in practice, our car was very fast. Even before that, we went to VIR and tested, and several of the, what we would call ringers were there, and I was every bit as fast as them, if not faster, and I was like, what the hell's going on? I think this car is extremely fast because I know I'm not, and I came out here and it was, still the same thing. So after practice, I had a pretty good feeling. I needed to get a good night's rest because I had a pretty good shot at it.
Hi, Clint. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com.
Hi, Tom.
You've been on both sides of being close to getting in the chase and not making it and getting in, and you got Michael Waltrip in.
It's way better getting in. It sucks. Super bad not getting in.
Can you amplify that a little bit?
It's louder, you mean? Or I guess I could scream it sucks. Man, it's so difficult. You and your team work so hard. That makes your season. The chase makes your season. Competing for a championship, for your team, for your sponsors, more than anything, they want their car to be in that chase because that's where all the limelight is. So, the pressure is unbelievable when you're on that, hinge of making it or not making it, and it's just it's a not a good feeling that I'd wish upon anybody, but that's what makes the chase so prestigious.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. A lot of the drivers, when they talk about how the Cup guys have gotten better at road course racing, many of them have said, who would have guessed Clint Bowyer would have won this race last year? Talking about...
I read Ambrose's quote. That was kind of mean. Who would have thought he'd have shut his car off leading and not win the race with a dominant day? So, bam! Make sure you post that quote right back at you, Ambrose. But he is amazing, to watch him. I mean, last year I remember his car was terrible, and he had that thing hung out, driving the absolute daylights out of it. And you see that, and you're like, man, I hope you don't ever get that thing pointed in the right direction and rolling good, because he's going to be a handful. And he usually is, and I think he will be, this year. Went to VIR when we tested for the day there, and Montoya was out there. He was extremely fast. I mean, those guys, their backgrounds and stuff like that. Obviously, this is their background and their wheelhouse, and I think they're going to be the ones that beat always when you come here. But I think everybody in this sport, in this Cup Series, has really, really picked the pace up. As far as the road course abilities and skills.
What do you think it was for you? Did you just kind of naturally take to it? Was it, having a good attitude? Or
I think a big part of it was engineering. They came into the sport. Our engineers are able to get our cars underneath of us way better than we could before. Those ringers would go test time and time again all over the place, all sorts of different racetracks in preparation for these one, or two races. And when we would get there, obviously our focus is on those mile-and-a-half tracks that make up the most, the biggest part of the season. So that's a big difference. When we get here and we're on the same playing field as they are, I feel like, I'm proud to say that the Cup regulars are, holding their own.
Louis Frank, Auto Week and Reuters. Last year, the winner's goblet didn't make it in one piece into here. So do you still have the goblet from last year?
They gave me a new one. Things got a little out of hand, as they normally do when we win races. It's supposed to be fun, but that was definitely not on the playlist. I didn't know it was called a goblet, but
that's what they pay me.
That glass cup that we were using to drink wine out of, somebody broke it. I think Michael broke it, didn't he?
I wasn't there. Yeah. I was here. But there was a serious question. Last week they
Maybe
said...
they'll give us a plastic one this year.
For you guys. Seriously...
Solo cups will work.
There you go. At Michigan, TRD said they dialed the engines back a little more for reliability. A, did you have any issues? And B, you're confident that you're, competitive this week?
Yeah, here on that specific area, you always dial them back anyway. Fuel mileage is so important here. You cut a lot of the horsepower out of the cars to keep that forward drive and keep your momentum strong throughout the run, and obviously make it to the end. So I don't think it'll be a big issue here. Here, more than anything, we're having valve train issues, and this is extremely difficult on valve trains if you don't do your job in a car. If you're missing shifts, over revving, going back down through the gearbox, you're holding the gear stick, and if you don't do your job, you're gonna probably be in the holler.
Jeff?
Yep.
Jeff Owen, Sporting News. Clint, why do you think road...
And that's doesn't matter if you're a Toyota X brand, doesn't matter. Anybody, you got to hit your mark shifting at a road course, or you're going to be, it's going to be in the box early. Yeah, sorry.
Clint,
We clarify that a little bit.
Why do you think racing here has become so much rougher and more physical the past few years? And Watkins Glen, I guess, both road races.
Because you can. Because the opportunity's there. I mean, simple as that. There's a lot of guys that hate it, including me. I mean, if you come out on the winning end of it, it's nothing more fun. But when you get wiped out, you get dumped somebody. I mean, you can hear him coming. You know the guy's getting impatient and he's dive bombing you, and you're trying to hold it out to get the good arc and get the drive off because you're working on the car in front of you. All of a sudden he loses his mind, and you can hear him wheel hop, and you're like, oh God, here we go, bam, and then you both go for a ride, and it's just it's not good.
Any questions upstairs?
Questions?
Kimberly?
Kimberly Zo, Kid Scoop News. When did you first realize you wanted to be a racer?
Well, I mean, I was racing since I was 4 years old, but it was 2002. I was racing dirt and got an opportunity to race a guy's asphalt car, and that was the year we won both track championships and a regional championship and a weekly racing series, and that was the first year that I was like, probably not going to be a good living, but I think I can make a living doing this and not have to go punch a time card. So I was pretty set from 2002 on. Thank God it worked.
Jenna, then Dustin.
Jennifer, AP.
One more upstairs first.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the name Jacques Villeneuve?
Train wreck. Extremely fast train, but usually ends up derailed somehow. I don't mean that rude. It's just there has to be a level of respect, and it doesn't matter if you're racing for points, throughout the season, or just show up and race against, the peers of one of the premier levels of all of motorsports. If that respect's not there, you're not gonna come in and beat and bang on this bunch, for long, and you're probably gonna be frustrated by the end of the day. I mean, that's not a threat or anything else. It's just we've all seen, what happened in those nationwide races, and it was too bad because it seemed to be one common denominator in a lot of the cautions that came out.
So is there such a thing as a road course ringer anymore? And if there is, do you guys resent them?
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, everybody, you welcome that. You want, the pocketbook doesn't want to see him show up, but the racer in you wants to see him show up. There's a good chance they're going to show up, take your money. But I'm proud to say, again, going back to that last question, I'm proud to say over the last few years, the old Standard Cup boys have been taking care of business.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Clint, we're obviously top 5 in points, but yet to get that win. Where do you assess where you guys are? Is this? I know you hope to come out of the gate and win early, but when you saw how things started off, did you kind of figure it would take a little time, or where do you feel like you guys are at this point?
Kind of status quo. I think we're maintaining where we need to at this point in the season. Top 10s is all it takes, especially, with the points base established that we have. You just can't beat yourself. This is a racetrack where you can absolutely, lose, a lot of ground in the points and do not want to see that. However, this is the very track where we got the ball rolling and it really turned the page with our new program last year. So I'm looking to do the same thing. We've been off here last few weeks, and it's there, but still we've been able to maintain. A bad day was 7th or whatever, and we ended up 15th, wherever in the hell we were before that. But it was obviously a struggle. But nonetheless, I'm proud of my guys and proud of where we're at with MWR. Martin had a good run last week, and there's definitely that potential's lurking right there. We just got to hit our stride, and I think we will.
Why did you feel that last year was a kickstart for you? You talked about this type of racing so different, that the horsepower and everything. I'm guessing not as much translates over per se to other places. So.
Look at Tony Stewart. I have no idea what it does. But you win a race, the confidence boost that it gives you and your team, your organization. I mean, Stewart's a prime example. What was it, 4 weeks ago? You guys were hammering him, to the point where he was fighting back, snapping back a little bit. He wins, and now he's running the top 5 ever since, and he's one to beat. So that'll happen. He'll be the one to beat here. He'll be one of the cars you have to beat to win the race. I don't know what it does. It's hard to explain momentum, the role that you get on, in probably all of sports, but this sport in particular. It seems like Jimmy Johnson has always been able to stay on that role, though. Are we done?
Woody?
Woody Kane, MRN. Clint, want to jump ahead a couple of weeks talking about different styles of racing. You go back to Daytona. You've had 2 races now, restrictor plates with a new car. Any reason to think with the nighttime race anything's going to be different there? I mean, a lot of guys have been talking about having to lift there lately.
You could. I'm telling you that could play a role, especially as hot as it is going back. I hope so. I really do hope that handling becomes an issue at these restrictor plate tracks. It seems like it adds an extra element to it. Though, again, I said it earlier, the one thing I love about restrictor plate racing is it seems to be a lot easier to manipulate, the product on a racetrack, whether it's a spoiler change, a restrictor plate change. They can change, manipulate a few things on the body with the aero package and seem like they can change the product for our fans way easier than they can for a 1.5 mile track or even a short track. So, for me, I look at those tracks as blue sky because I feel like we can, whatever the goal is that our fans are asking for, I feel like we can get there.
We'll go to Claire and finish up with Lee.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Can you talk about the restarts here? And people abuse them, sometimes take advantage of them because they're here.
Because you can.
Because you can. Talk us through that.
Extremely difficult, challenging, insane. I mean, it's you're blocking everything. You're trying to pass the car in front of you, and you're trying to take advantage of him. You know, if he slips up at least a little bit, you're going to be there for the taking, and the guy behind you is doing the same thing. And a lot of times when you're trying to pass and make a move on the car in front of you, it opens the door for him to get a different angle on you or something like that. And just it's a pretty intense situation. I mean, you're looking at, it's like restrictor plate race, and I'm telling you, you're looking out the windshield as much, or out the mirror as much as you're looking out the windshield. It's just you're playing offense and defense the whole time on a restart. And as soon as you get single file, man, it's a breath of fresh air. You're like, thank God, get away from me. I mean, double file here there's just not enough room, and especially deep into the race. I mean, there's rubber, debris, stuff like that out on. I mean, there's one groove, and if you get out of that at least a little bit, you got your hands full.
Some are saying that you should, maybe have more of a code here that people use this to take advantage of it sometimes over and above, or is that just Sonoma?
I sure hope at the end of the race, if I'm not winning and a leader is right in front of me, I hope he uses that code and then swings out thinking that I won't, go stick it in the inside and try to pass him. So that's what happens to those code of ethics in this sport, is we take advantage of them as soon as the opportunity presents itself.
Wait.
Or selfish.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Last year, you were battling pretty good with Kurt Busch, too. He wasn't in the best of equipment. He's in a little better equipment now. How frustrating do you think it is for him as a driver to have one of those premier rides for so many years and then have to work his way back into, the caliber of race team like where you're at?
Well, I'm a firm believer, I don't know, you make your own bed, you know what I mean? But he's such a talent in a race car that he's able to take, an underfunded team and run well, almost won that race. Literally, the car wouldn't get any smaller. I couldn't make it any smaller in the mirror. It just kept getting bigger and bigger, and it was hard. But, again, what he's been able to do for his career, this is a comeback. And we all know his talents, and we all know his downfalls. And if he can keep them, all pointed in the right direction, he's going to have, good spots. I mean, where he's at now, the family, that Furniture Row team is, Todd Barrier's my neighbor. I know a lot of that team, and obviously their affiliation with RCR, I'm close to a lot of people. I mean, he's got all the tools, that he needs right there to get the job done, and he will.
All right.